I just spent half an hour looking for my big floor jack. Then I remembered that my son borrowed it to somebody. Mind your business. So, yeah, guess I'm using the rinky-dinky cheap one. Or I gotta go buy another one. Because I don't even know who he borrowed it to, and he's at work. So, anyway, that wasn't the point of what we're doing today. What are we doing today? What am I doing today? Well, besides feeling like I got hit by a truck, I don't know what I got a hold of. Something got a hold of me. I got no energy. But things still have to get done. I don't know if I've formally introduced you to Brumble. She's my 3/4 ton 1987 Silverado trimmed Suburban. And, she's no show queen. I don't know if you can see it in this light. We got hail damages. It's ugly. But ugly in a way that I like, by and large. We got rust on just about every panel. The floorboards are great. It did get Z-Bart treated when it was new. I bought it from the second owner, and I didn't need the headache. I went and looked at it. My wife found it. I went and looked at it for my older son's first vehicle, and she said, "Yeah, I found a Silverado, really cheap price, and I was thinking modern day Silverado. I wasn't thinking Silverado trim back in the day. So I showed up to look at it and was like, what? No. He don't need a Suburban to drive for his first vehicle, right? But then I looked at it, I test drove it, and as historical chance would have it, I learned to drive on a square body Chevy 1978 Custom Deluxe full-time four-wheel drive, half-ton regular cab long bed pickup. It was kind of the farm truck, and it had a lot of issues and was holes in the floorboard and the things that they all they have, which this one doesn't. But when you sit down in the driver's seat, oh, it's too dark. It's daylight savings time, rainy day. From here forward, yeah, this is way too dark. From here forward, it's very, very, very similar to the truck that I drove when I was 16. So when I took this for a test drive, it kind of just, I guess you could say it got me in the feels, and I thought, as long as I don't turn and look over my shoulder, I'm back to driving my old little 400 small block half-ton pickup from whatever that was, early 1990s, anyway, I'm old. So I ended up, I fell in love with it, but then I talked myself out of it by the time the test drive got over. Because this thing, it's been butcherified and put back together, and it came with a 454 in it, and that's been replaced after it got blown up by the first owner's son hot rodding it. It got replaced with a crate engine, factory rebuilt 350. And so the guy that I bought it from did that, and he went out of his way to go find the correct EFI computers and all that, and he did a good job. He was a Electrolux repairman, so he wasn't like completely mechanically inept or anything. He did a good job by and large. There's some stuff that I can't judge. It's probably nicer than I would have done, but it's a little janky nonetheless. So anyway, Why am I rambling about this truck? What's going on there? Aren't we trying to fix the purple submarine? Yes, we are. Anyway, excuse me. Anyway, got a little interrupted there. I don't remember where I was. Oh yeah, how does this relate to? I don't want to look around my garage too hard. Things are out of place. Got teenage boys. My things are always out of place. Anyway, how does the Brumble here, well, Suburban, I ended up, the guy, I lowballed the heck out of the guy because I planned on just walking away from it. It wasn't what I was looking for. And he took me up on the offer. So then I owned it. And my oldest son loved it. And it kind of became legendary around the high school for some reason. I mean, nobody else has one like it. So, anyway, after he got into a cat eye Chevy, I just kept this because I thought it's a neat vehicle. You got a small block Chevy, you got a 400 turbo behind it, you got heavy duty rear end. I mean, a guy could start buying shiny parts and putting on the engine and bump sticks and, heads and spend entirely too much money on a vehicle that you practically stole. And that sounds like fun to me. I haven't really found the free time to do that. So it's basically sitting here in the same configuration that I bought it in. I did have to add some cats to it to get it to pass inspection. And then after it wasn't being primarily driven, I went ahead and put antique plates on, or historic plates or whatever. So I could, run without cats, and there's no inspections required. So anyway, ramble blamble. What I'm getting at is, with the Purple Hornet being down and needing some place to repair it, my garage is basically full of my hobby stuff, the boys' hobby stuff, largely disorganized. And there's no room in here. And it'd be really nice to get the Purple Hornet up into here to put it back together. And so once we get it out of 4 low and can move it easily, I'd like to get it here. That means this has to go out, and also it's going to become my younger son's primary transportation back and forth to school and whatnot. Because it is a pretty good, reliable little machine. Only problem is, well, there's two main problems. First main problem is the paint on this thing is so thin at this point. I wish the light was a little better. Every time, you breathe too hard on it. Let's see if we can get this to show up. Stuff like that starts to happen. Which, whatever, it's fine. It's been touched up here and there. I've kind of sanded and primered on parts that were surface rusting wildly off and on. Oh yeah, here. But then, you fix one spot and then another spot just shows up. So basically, if a guy was going to get restorative on it, there's plenty that needs done. The fiberglass trim around the back window. It needs new, I think I already did that basically along this whole back spot here. And to be honest, I don't even mind the look of that. It don't bother me. But there's a bunch of little spots like that I think I already did that over here. I just kind of lightly sand the rust off. And yeah, this one's, We don't even worry about cleaning up the overspray on the old girl. We'll get around to it sooner or later. You know, missing paint here and there. And there's a product that I saw, sorry about that. There's a product I saw Vice Grip advertising, and so I bought some. It's the Wipe On Clear Coat. And I figured I would do that sooner or later and make a video about it. And then also replace the window seals because they're just kind of gone. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's kind of what it should look like. And it's just missing. So every time it rains, you know, you can imagine water is just running into the door wildly. Saying, well, that one's probably the best one on the whole truck. Back window, kind of same. And sometimes, oh yeah, totally just missing pieces. And so that's the thing. It's part of the reason this thing hogs up the garage is because, you know, I want to kind of play with it when I get around to it. But with water just pouring into the doors and, you know, the paint just washing off, it's kind of just been the garage queen. And with life being the way life is and being busy doing things, it's just sort of sat here. It hasn't been used much. And we got the great idea to drive it over another state away for my daughter's wedding. And second I put it on the highway, it was shimmying. Had a pretty bad vibration. So we ended up bringing it back home, shoving it back in the garage. I've driven it over to get groceries across town a couple of times since then. You know, there's a little vibration there. And it's pulling pretty hard to the left. So my first suspicion about the vibration is probably U-joint, but then I noticed how hard it was pulling to the left, so now I'm wondering tie rod end, front wheel bearing perhaps, even something like that. So today, even though I feel like dog excrement, I got things to do because tomorrow older son needs to get his truck in here, and he's got brakes that are just gone and grindy, which is sort of alarming. Might need a new caliper there because I think we just did brakes on that not even 2 years ago. So yeah, anyway, ramble bamble. But now you know, this is kind of the backstory of the Suburban that has evolved into basically a storage catch-all. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Guy needs to go through here. Parts for the diesel truck, and just as I needed a place to chuck things since this was just sitting here. The interior is actually in really good shape overall. But anyway, that jack is the one I was looking for. Super exciting video so far. Let me get the jack out and we'll get that wheel up in the air, and I'll give you a quick how do you tell a thing or two. Sorry, my energy level's terrible. I apologize. This is terrible. Terrible lighting. How about this way? Is this any better? No, not any better at all. Oh, I don't know if you can see a doggone thing I'm trying to show you. Here, let's try that. All right, so how do you check your wheel bearings? Well, for one, you can spin the tire. Of course, you got disc brakes. They've always sort of got a little restriction they don't really release fully. But I don't hear anything terrible. It just sounds like disc brake pad on disc. Then, to check bearings, you grab the tire at the top and the bottom. I just thought I felt a lot of play and then it went away. What the heck? I don't know what that was. And then to check tie rods, you grab the front and the back and listen for clunk clunks. I feel like we have a little clunk clunk there. And the other tire on the other side's on the ground, so it's sort of our stationary. And then to check ball joints, a lot of times it's you stick something under there and pry and listen for clunk clunks on the up and down axis. Your bearings, you're checking play this way, and your tie rod ends. There's definitely a little bit of play there. So let's investigate further. Let's see if we can get it. Get in here real close, can you? Real close. Alright, so watch right here. I mean, it's not a ton of play. But that's the only place that I'm seeing play at all. So that's suspect number one. So from this connector down to here, it's actually pretty simple to replace. And hopefully it's something somebody's got in stock. So that's on the list of to-dos, because I don't like that play there. Don't know that that's causing the vibration though. So as I've been crawling around on this thing, my old memory machine has been tickled a little bit. And kind of remembering some things, because I kind of went through this back in the day and changed that upper control arm bushing. Basically kind of went through the rear end brakes, which is not all that fun on one of these. Those drums weigh like 16 tons each. Anyhow, yeah, where was I? Where wasn't I? I don't know. Anyway, checked out the front and we found that little bit of play in that tie rod end, but yeah, that just didn't seem to make sense. So I went through, checked the U-joints, they all feel tight. It's a two-piece drive shaft, and so the spline on the yoke on the rear drive shaft where it attaches to the front drive shaft just behind the carrier bearing, there's a little bit of play there, but I mean a little spline play I would expect. Yeah, nothing. I'm not finding the smoking gun until I'll show you where we're at right now. Down here on the passenger side, looking at this passenger side tire, I mean, you got tapered bearings in there. You don't want them super bound up tight. You know, that's good. not bad play. But just, you know, one finger. Of course, I got the transmission in neutral and the front wheels chocked up. But one finger. Easy peasy. Nothing making funny noises when we do that. So this is on the passenger side. Okay, so now we've come around to the driver's side. And this is where my memory machine getting tickled kind of kicked in. Because when I was playing with brakes on this rear end, yeah, it seems to my memories that there was an issue here that I had fought with, which is our parking brake cable. This one right here. That goes to the driver's side. Of course, it's a rust bomb. It's original equipment from 1987, I believe. And I think I was in a time crunch at the time, and this wasn't in stock. This one moves just fine over to the passenger side, and it retracts just fine. But when I went up and kicked down the parking brake cable earlier, this did not budge. It didn't go out, it didn't go in, it didn't go nothing. So, what I'm thinking is going on here is that thing got sticky again, and somebody kicked the parking brake on, and then when it released, it didn't release the driver's side. So, with that being the case, I think I found my biggest problem, why it's pulling to the left. I'm not exactly sure why that would make it shimmy, but I could kind of see why it would. So, I was really hoping for something easy. Yeah. But apparently this is what I need to fix, probably more than anything else. But I mean, the good news is, between this and the tie rod end, overall, she's got a pretty clean bill of health. So the old girl, you know, she's doing pretty good for the shape she's in. Alright, well, I really didn't want to do this, so, especially feeling the way I feel today. So, yeah, I had to talk myself into it a little bit, but I got there. So I went ahead and pulled the tire off, and then remembered, oh yeah, I forgot, kinda. This is a full floating axle, so you gotta pull the axle, and then the wheel bearings are part of the hub that holds the brake drum, and with the parking brake locked on, how are you gonna get that off? And this thing weighs like half a blue whale. Anyway, as I was sitting there staring at it, I'm looking at this cable over here. It's all rusty and crusty. And I thought, well, I'll try it. And I just reached over and started kind of massaging it. Tried to hold a flashlight and a camera and get a free hand. Oh, yeah. And so I just sort of started, you know, flexing it, working through the kinks. And by golly, I think I got that cable inside there to break loose, because now she's a spinner. How do you like them apples? So that's a relief, because I didn't really want to go through all the BS of that. So check that off the list. Just have to counsel the family on that parking. That emergency brake is only for emergencies. It's not for parking. We got park in the transmission for that. Anyway, don't worry, Mom. It's not just a jack. I got a jack stand back there too. It's fine. That's the only body mount in this whole truck that is just garbage. I think there's 8 body mounts. 7 out of 8. Ain't bad. Anyway. Where does that leave us? Well, I think I'm going to put the tire back on and go drive it around town in the rain. Because I don't think I got... I don't know. I should probably change that tire out in. It's not that bad. It's definitely going out though. And with my kid driving it, better safe than sorry, right? So, I'm going to put the tire back on it, and we'll keep going. Start bleep blooping around on the car parts website, see if anybody's got this thing. And then we'll go around and do some shopping, including getting that thing. And yeah. Other than that, the paint job protection work, I don't know if we'll get to that today or not. My battery is running low, and I'm not talking about the camera. I mean, I called off work today because I felt rotten. I was just going to rest all day, and then now the other son wants to use the garage tomorrow, and like, okay. That was supposed to be my garage day, but I only got one garage. So here we go. Anyway, sorry, rambling. Got a question for you if you're watching this. Because, you know, growing up and everything, I was always shown on a 5-bolt pattern. You know, you go 1 here, tighten it, skip across, tighten it, skip across, you know, and as you went around, you end up getting them all. Well, this being an 8-bolt pattern, tighten 1, skip 2, tighten 1, skip 2, tighten 1, skip 2, tighten 1, skip 2, tighten 1. That's kind of where my brain goes with it. But what do you do? If I'm doing it wrong, or you got some other intel on it, put it down in the comments for me, would you? I like to learn new things, and so does other snarky folks down there in the comment section. I love the comment section. I especially love when people leave me snarky comments, because then I get a chance to leave them snarky comments back. You know, in a nice way. Okay, well, GoPros are strange. Sometimes you go on a rant and think you're doing it on camera, and then you go to turn off the recording, and lo and behold, you just started one. So, anyway. But enough about my whining. Alright, it's about 20... God, the lighting is terrible that way. It's about 24 hours later than what you just saw. O'Reilly's finally got the tie rod end for me that was supposed to be ready at 10 o'clock this morning. Better late than never. So that's about to get put in. Kiddo picked me up from dropping off the rental car, told him to get his stuff out of my car. And so now, hey, I didn't even know my binoculars were missing from my hunting bag, and here they are. Yeah, anyway, be good to have my car back. Power tools? It's,
is it in my collection?
it's too fancy. If I can't break a ratchet head on a job, what am I doing with my life? Power tools. These kids these days. Anyway, I don't know. Give you a close-up of what I'm about to do, and then I'm going to do it. All right, so there's some tricks that most of you probably already know, but when you're doing tie rod ends, it's pretty easy to not have to get your alignment messed up. If you can even see in here, can you see what I'm pointing at? Can you see that? Oh, up a little. There it is. So this is what we're doing. We're replacing that. Oh, I'm gonna have to edit this part out. I should have took it out of the bag already. All right. So to replace your tie rod end with the new one, obviously you got to pull the cotter pin that's retaining the castle nut. You got to take off the castle nut. And then they make the pickle fork things that you can drive in there and pop it loose, which are fine if you're going to replace it. But sometimes you're taking it apart and you're not really trying to replace it. Just take your ball peen hammer and give it a couple good smacks right here. The vibrations going through there will pop that loose from the socket. And then, in order to put it back with the same alignment that you took it apart from, assuming your alignment isn't bad and needing to be fixed anyway, right here on this adjustment collar, before you unscrew it out of that, make a mark. Sometimes the grease and stuff will already have kind of left a mark anyway. Or just go ahead and measure from the collar to this grease zerk. And that should give you the center of this socket. So you have that measurement, or that mark, and then later a measurement. So now you know the distance from the collar to here, and if you don't spin the collar, just spin this out. Spin the new one back in to that same measurement from the grease zerk to the collar, or sleeve, or whatever it is. You should end up with the same toe end that you started with. So, and then it's just a matter of bolting it back together. I think it's like 30 foot-pounds or something like that. I have to look it up. You can look it up. It's pretty simple. Not really any need to show you me doing that, but that's the only tricks I can think of really, is just to maintain that measurement and the old hammer on the knuckle to get it popped loose. And yeah, that's all. Gonna do that and take her for a test drive, and then she'll be free to leave the garage. Ugh. Oh, mail's here. Hello. Thanks, you too. Oh, what do we got? What do we got? Carhartts. At least it's awesome. Final notice. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, look at that. Is that money? Did I get mailbox money?